Have you ever noticed how the word strength, when applied to a man, often gets a sideways glance? It's almost as if we're supposed to apologize for it. Today, we're going to explore a provocative question. Why does modern society seem to fear strong men? And I'm not talking about brute force or aggression. I'm talking about something much deeper. The core of the issue is this: society doesn't fear strong men because they are dangerous. It fears them because they are disciplined, grounded, and incredibly difficult to manipulate. Let's break down why this is. First, strength is constantly confused with aggression. Modern culture has collapsed the crucial difference between controlled, disciplined strength and unchecked, chaotic violence. True strength, especially from a biblical perspective, is about restraint, discipline, and responsibility. It's the power to protect, not to dominate. But our society often fears what it doesn't bother to define properly. Think of it like this: strength without control is a wildfire, dangerous and destructive. But strength with control? That's leadership. It's the calm hand on the tiller in a storm. Second, strong men are hard to control. A man with a clear purpose, deep convictions, and a solid moral compass doesn't bend easily to fleeting trends, peer pressure, or emotional manipulation. The systems we live in, which are increasingly built on compliance, prefer passive, distracted men. A disciplined man isn't afraid to ask why, and that simple question threatens any authority that is shallow or illegitimate. He wants substance, not just commands. Third, strong men embrace a concept that has become deeply uncomfortable in our culture: responsibility. They accept ownership of their actions, their families, and their communities instead of outsourcing blame. Modern culture often prefers the comfort of victimhood over the demanding nature of accountability. When a man stands up and takes responsibility, he inadvertently exposes the excuses that others use to stay comfortable. And nothing disrupts comfort quite like accountability. This leads to the fourth point. Moral clarity threatens moral relativism. Strong men often operate from a set of clear moral boundaries. They believe in right and wrong. But our society increasingly champions the idea of your truth, where everything is subjective and there are no objective standards. In a culture that avoids absolutes, a man with firm conviction can feel like a threat. His clarity is mistaken for judgment, and his principles are seen as rigid instead of reliable. Fifth, and this one is subtle but powerful, strength reveals weakness. When a man consistently trains his body, disciplines his mind, and lives with purpose, he becomes a living mirror. His very presence, often without saying a word, quietly asks others, "Why aren't you living up to your potential?" This can inspire some, but for many, that quiet question creates a deep discomfort. And that discomfort often sours into resentment or hostility rather than admiration. It's easier to tear down the mirror than to fix the reflection. Sixth, we've seen masculine leadership be replaced by management. True leadership requires courage, sacrifice, and the willingness to make hard, decisive calls. Management, on the other hand, prefers to follow procedures, seek permission, and avoid all risk. A manager asks for consensus. A leader builds it through conviction. Strong men are wired to lead from a place of principle, not from a committee vote. And that is fundamentally at odds with the bureaucratic spirit of our age. Seventh, biblical masculinity is almost always misrepresented. The Bible does not teach men to be domineering, cruel, or emotionally stunted. On the contrary, it calls men to self-control, to sacrificial love, to protect the vulnerable, and to serve with humility under God's authority. But when this noble calling is twisted into a caricature of toxic masculinity, then all forms of masculine strength get unfairly labeled and dismissed. Eighth, our entire culture of comfort depends on weakness. Think about it. Consumer culture thrives on distraction, addiction, and passivity. It needs you to be just dissatisfied enough to keep buying, just distracted enough not to think too deeply, and just passive enough to accept it all. Strong men are harder to addict, harder to distract, and harder to pacify. Their contentment is found in purpose, not in products. They are bad for a business model built on insecurity. Ninth, strong men don't need constant validation. In an economy that runs on attention, a man who doesn't live for likes, applause, or public approval is a problem. His confidence is internal, derived from his mission and his faith, not from external affirmation. This independence is a direct threat to systems built to monetize our insecurities. Quiet confidence can't be sold a quick fix. Finally, and most importantly, Christ is the ultimate example of true strength. Jesus was not weak, passive, or timid. He demonstrated authority without cruelty, strength without ego, and absolute power under perfect obedience to the Father. He overturned tables in the temple out of righteous anger, and he washed his disciples' feet in humble service. This model of perfect, balanced strength doesn't fit neatly into modern stereotypes of either a toxic man or a soft man, and that's precisely the point. His example challenges all our shallow categories. So, what's the takeaway here? The goal is not to become aggressive, loud, or domineering. That isn't strength. It's a performance of insecurity. The true goal is to become an ordered man, a man whose strength, physical, mental, and spiritual, is submitted to truth and dedicated to a higher purpose. This kind of strength is not a threat to a healthy society. It is the very thing that stabilizes it. It's the bedrock upon which strong families, secure communities, and a just world are built. So don't fear strength. Cultivate it, refine it, and use it for good. Thanks for watching. If this message resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this, and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you next time.